It's the third one that's important, but let's look quickly at the two that everybody gets instinctively. The first of these is consistency. Pavlov never offered food without ringing the bell, and he never rang the bell without offering food. Consistency. Now, what's the difference between consistency and predictability? We said earlier that Broca's area of the brain. Broca hates predictability, but consistency is essential to successful advertising. This is the difference. The consistency, or let's say the lack of consistency. There was a campaign a number of years ago. Less filling, tastes great. Less filling, tastes great. Remember the beer campaign? The Jocks in Bars campaign. Now, at the same time that campaign was launched, about 14 years ago, there was another campaign launched, and less than 1% as much money was spent. Less than 1% as much money. But they were consistent. You see, the beer campaign evolved into a series of at least 6 other major campaigns in the past 14 years with no consistency whatsoever. They were not joined together in any way. Utterly inconsistent. They would get halfway up the mountain, and then they would come back down to the bottom and start all over with a brand new campaign that had no relationship to the investment they had made up to that point. Stupid, 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 stupid. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. What the other little company did is they said, you know, we have so little money that we're just going to have to always make sure that every ad is connected to every other ad so that people remember these ads as a group. We're going to use this violin music and kind of an unusual voice. We're going to every penny we have in the world in one medium, and we're always going to close by saying, we'll leave the light on for you. Less than 1% as much money, but for 14 consecutive years, Tom Bodett has been telling us that at Motel 6, he'll leave the light on for us. Now, wait a minute. Why was it not predictable? Because you know about 3 seconds of that 60-second ad is the violin intro, and the sound of Tom Bodett's voice is instantly associated to the memory of the Motel 6 and the humor and the wit and the style of that ad. And you know he's going to tell you at the very end he'll leave the light on for you, but the reason it's not predictable is because for the 57 other seconds of that 60-second ad, you have absolutely no idea in the world what he's going to say. And you always turn up the radio. Now, consistency, Motel 6, genius. Inconsistency, over 100 times more money. The beer company, and you'll spend the rest of the afternoon trying to figure out what the other 6 campaigns were. None of which were particularly memorable because about the time they built a little consistency, they abandoned them. Now, the first key is consistency. Pavlov didn't ever offer food without ringing the bell. He never rang the bell without offering food. Tom Bodett never failed to tell us he would leave the light on for us. See, Pavlov did this day after day after day. He did not come out at the end of 6 or 8 weeks and say, this ain't working. I must be reaching the wrong dog. No, see, Pavlov understood. It was the right dog. It's just that Rome wasn't built in a day. Pavlov understood that implanting an associative memory took time. Pavlov understood, yes, I'm doing the right thing, even though I see no result yet. He stuck with it. Now, wait a minute. Our computer company, with a consistent and frequent use of those 3 colors, they met keys 1 and 2, did they not? But I said they would wave goodbye to their $14 million as it floated away over the horizon on the tide of stupidity. Now, why? Why did I use that mental image? Because the third key, ladies and gentlemen, is anchoring. When implanting an associative memory, the recall cue, in the case of Pavlov, the recall cue was a bell, must be associated with an anchor, a memory which is already anchored in the mind. You must associate the recall cue with something that's already in the heart of the dog. In this case, it was the dog's love for the taste of meat. You see, frequency and consistency create branding only when your message is tied to an already established emotional anchor in the heart of the customer. Pavlov's branding campaign was anchored to the dog's love for the taste of meat. If the dog did not already love meat, the frequent and consistent ringing of the bell would have produced no response other than to irritate the dog. Now, how often Have you heard someone say, I hate advertising? You see, to have rung the bell consistently and frequently, when the bell was not tied to anything the dog cared about, just would have pissed off the dog. The dog would have said, I hate advertising. Why, dog? Because it's never about me. It's never about anything I care about. It's always about some knucklehead, their street address, their phone number, their store hours. Wah, wah, wah. Hey, here's 35 cents. Call someone who cares. Is your recall cue, slogan, positioning statement, logo tied to an anchor in the heart of your customer? Or are you just irritating the dog? You see, in 1994, Penny and I were flown to London as the guests of De Beers. As you know, De Beers singularly controls the world diamond market. De Beers has more money than most countries. And they wanted me to speak to all the jewelers of the United Kingdom, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. An amazing experience. We spent a week in London and spoke for an hour or so. But of course, everyone's expecting me to say, the 4 sacred C's: cut, clarity, carat weight, and color. But I didn't do that. They said, Roy, tell us how these clients of your firm, you work with a number of jewelers across the nation, and they're all extraordinarily, ridiculously, ludicrously rich as the result of this advertising and marketing. And all of them started little, tiny, insignificant jewelers, and now they are the richest and most powerful jewelers in America. Tell us how you did it. And I said, well, the first thing we did was never, ever describe the diamond. I go, what? Yeah, because, see, people don't really care that a diamond is the hardest substance in the world. Nobody wakes up, rubs their eyes, and says, you know, what I need today is some cut, color, clarity, and carat weight. That's what I need. A way to start a good ad for a jewelry store, if you want to speak to the taste of the meat in the heart of the dog, you say, she'll kiss you like you've never been kissed before. The dog goes, whatever that is, I'll take 2. He has no idea it's an ad for a jewelry store. But you've touched something that matters to the customer. You see, the reason all these jewelers are so extraordinarily successful is because we understood something. We said, you know, the only reason anybody buys a diamond is because they're imagining the reaction of the woman they love. He's imagining that look on her face. Why does a woman wear a diamond? Because she's imagining the look on the faces of everyone else she knows. Her friends, neighbors, co-workers, and family. She's imagining everyone grabbing her hand and going, is that real? Describe the reaction. You'll sell the diamond. Speak to the felt need. Speak to what matters in the heart of the customer. And the easiest sale you can possibly imagine is to sell a man on the positive reaction of the woman he loves. Oh, wait a minute. This is not hard. What kind of a moron is going to describe the diamond? The diamond has nothing to do with anything. And it's kind of like, hey, don't try to justify intellectually a decision that is entirely emotional. There's just no logic in spending $10,000 or $20,000 for a rock someone dug out of the dirt. What you're really paying for is her reaction. So, are your ads answering questions that no one is asking? Most ads do. To create successful branding, you must tie your identity to an emotional anchor which is already known to elicit the desired response. If you make such association with consistency and frequency, branding will occur. But don't expect too much too soon. It takes a lot of repetition to train the dog to salivate at the sound of your name.
That's the end of tape 2. We'll see you again with more from the Wizard of Ads Academy.